So just quickly going over some house rules. The session is being recorded, so please feel free to switch off your cameras. The audience will be muted throughout the session. However, you'll be able to comment via the chat or use the raise your hand feature. Also, if you could, we'd be really grateful if you could complete the feedback form that will be in the chat shortly. All right, okay, so moving on, I'd like to introduce our first guest speaker, Stella, who's an incredible example of adversity and a great role model. Having suffered abuse at the hands of close family from a very young age, Stella took the difficult decision to run away rather than take her life. She uses her experience of adversity to support and empower others as a coach and as a mentor. So over to you, Stella.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Saimah, and welcome everybody. Yes, I'm Stella Lieben, obviously executive coach in daytime and brand and image consultant away from that. As Saimah rightly said, at a very young age, I found myself homeless with nowhere to go but the prospect of the park bench for my bed. However, obviously the reason for removing myself from where I was based was due to abuse. I had a choice to make that night, the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. It was a case of I stay here, that night, and I won't be with you today, or I could leave. Don't know how I'm going to survive because I had nowhere to go. I was new to the country. I had only just moved from Nigeria when I was about 13. So I had no one else to go to. Just nobody, nowhere to go. But somehow, after roaming the streets of South London or most of the night, I managed to decide and obviously cry my eyes out to just take a chance and knock on a friend's window in the hope that someone will let me in. Because otherwise, the other choice was to go back to that house. And like I said, we won't be here today. So I'm glad that I made that decision. However difficult it might have been, there was just those two choices, stay and not be here or leave and take my chances. I thought, you know what? If I stay here and I'm no more, they're going to tell my story their way. No one will ever know what went on in that house. They will tell a version of my story to their benefit. And I thought, we can't be having that. Whatever happens, I will be the one to tell my story. And that was the motivating factor. The only thing I had on was a rucksack and my very expired Nigerian passport. And I was out the door. I took my passport because I was very cautious I didn't want to, whatever happened to me in the park, I didn't want to be a Jane Doe. I wanted, if the police were to ever find me, to know my name and where I came from and start asking questions. So I made sure, though the passport had expired, there was no valid visa in it, I chose to walk away with my passport. But the fact that I did not want to be a Jane Doe. So that's that story, fun parts aside. Now let's get down to what we're here to talk about today. The topic today is about overcoming hard times. And just a little tidbits about my life should be enough to sort of give you a hint as to the hard times that I've gone through to be where I'm at today. To a lot of people looking at me today, I've got it all. If only they knew. So when a lot of people say, you know, things are so hard, they can't get over, you know, they don't know how to overcome, you know, the trials and adversities that they're going through. I bring them into my confidence and I share my story with them. And that normally gives them hope that if I could go through that at such a young age, and I'm here today, they can too. So for that, I want to share, I don't know, some key ways that I overcome adversity. And of course, I would draw in on my past experiences as well, just to give you context as well. Because a lot of the time people say, oh, just be resilient, you know, you can get over this, and without giving you context to how. You know, you can look at me today and think, what does she know about adversity? Look at the way she speaks. You know, there's no way she will ever be able to understand what I'm going through. Wait till I tell you. So, obviously for me, overcoming resilience and building resilience is key to overcoming adversity. So, to build resilience, I'm just going to name a handful because we haven't got all day. So I'm just going to name a handful of things that I do to build resilience in times of adversity. First things first, gratitude. I'm always grateful. First thing in the morning, before my legs even touch the floor in my bedroom, I say thank you. Because I know too many people that have been on this journey called life with me that are not here today, but I am, and I'm grateful for that. Whatever today has to offer, I know I can handle it. Because I've gone through enough to be here. Nothing will faze me. As long as I have my life and I'm well, I can take it. I'll be fine. So gratitude, first thing in the morning, and obviously last thing at night. The last words that come out of my mouth between myself and the universe, my creator, whatever you want to believe in, you should just be grateful. Be grateful to be awake. Be grateful that you make it back home and in your bed, and to have, you know, hopefully a good night's rest. So gratitude is number one for me. And number two, I'm only going to name three. Number two is learning to accept change. Because when things happen that, you know, throw us off course, you know, people can't seem to accept that change is happening. Sometimes it's a bit like, you know, that moment you want to do your spring clean at home and you take everything out and the whole place looks 10 times worse than before you started. And you're thinking, why did I even bother? Because now I've just created even more chaos for myself. Now I'm going to need more time to clear this up. But you know what? You need to have that moment there. Once you sort through and then you come out the other end, it's like, ooh, oh, everything looks good. Actually, I feel good about this right now. But you have to go through that chaos first and accepting that this is part of the process. Okay? Just accepting there will be chaos. For change to happen, there will be chaos and you need to accept it. You know, just get ready. Like, okay, we got work to do here. Let's go. And I'll give you, you know, another way of doing, obviously accepting chaos is also by looking to your past for inspiration and motivation. Because those moments when the chaos is happening, you just can't see the trees for the woods. It's just like, where am I going? Those are the moments where you need to stop, take a look back. I know people say, don't look back to your past, let it go, it's gone, it won't serve you. Actually, it serves me. Because when I look back, I reflect on those times that I never thought I could make it through. And I think, I went through that. I mean, when I sit back today and think, how did I know to do that? But I did. I made it through. So whatever it is that I learned during that time in the past that has served me today will serve me through this huddle that I'm about to jump through. So I call on lessons that I've learned in my past that have served me. I'm not saying dwell on the negative side. No. Let's leave the negatives alone. Let's focus on the good and the lessons we learned to help us remind ourselves of what we're capable of. Because in midst of chaos, people just think, I can't do this. I don't know how. Really? You sure? Think back. You know, once upon a time, for those of you who can drive, you can never imagine how you put your foot on the gas, you got your hand on the brake, you know, you gear one, gear two. How do you even do that and turn the radio on at the same time? How? You know, but guess what? Once you know how, you know how. You know, so it's like now you can turn the radio, change your CD, do whatever. Once upon a time, before you started learning to drive, that was incomprehensible. I know it was for me, because I used to look at people going, focus, put your hands on the wheel, don't turn the radio, you know. But guess what? Now I can do that because I learned how. And I think we can apply the same method of thinking to today when we're facing adversity. So that's how I look back. I look back to lessons learned. Yeah, you know, and then also, yeah, just basically looking back to the positives. Leave the negatives alone, because when chaos is happening, you don't want to be dwelling on the negatives and how you didn't make that deal or you didn't get that job you wanted. Let's not worry about that. Let's focus on the good. It's hard, but it can be done. Our mind is so powerful, you can override the thoughts that go through it. You can. There are times when I wake up and I just go, there's so much going on in my head. And I literally start talking to myself. I know, sounds crazy. My kids are very aware now. She's not crazy. That's just how she is. I have conversations with myself and tell myself, no, that's not what we're doing today. That's not what we're doing today. We're not feeling this way today. We're going to do this today, and that's what's going to happen. Whatever we need to do to achieve the goal for today, that's what we're going to do. And I literally repeat until I feel, okay, I got this. And then I get out of bed. You know, it's a bit like they say when you have, you know, stiff joints or something like that, you know, your physio will tell you work on it. You keep working and working until eventually when you start, there's the pain. You keep at it, and then it's like, oh, okay, you're not feeling the pain anymore. It's a little bit like that. So overriding negative thoughts. Just try, you know, if you have to speak out loud, do, and that helps. Right. So my number 3 would be avoiding negative people. It doesn't matter how long you've known some people. Doesn't matter if they're related to you. They may say they mean the best for you. Some people want you where they're at. They want to keep you there. So be mindful of who you take into your confidence and who you share your dreams and aspirations with. And whatever challenges you're going through, be mindful of who you share them with. I'll give you, you know, a positive to a time when I shared something with someone that I did not know would change my life. Like I said earlier, 13 years old, moved to the UK, no mom, no dad, by the way, these are with distant relatives. And my passport, the very expired passport without residency to be in the UK, I didn't know anything. I was 17 years old when I ran away. I didn't know all I knew was you needed a passport, but I didn't realize you needed extra stamps in that passport for you to be able to legally be in the UK. I didn't know that. So anyway, I had a friend who, one of the amazing people that helped me when I was homeless. I've known this woman for so long and I never told her about that. Once I kind of realized the immigration situation with me, now I'm panicking on another level because now I'm thinking, oh God, they're going to deport me. And yes, at one point, I was served a deportation notice to leave the UK when I was about 20 years old. So for anyone hearing me today, I've been through it. Whatever you're going through, be rest assured, I can relate. So anyway, no visa, no means of being in the country. And my very best friend, little did I know, but out of fear, I never mentioned anything to her about my status or what I was going through. She understood a little bit about why I ran away from home, but not anything else. For me to find out how many years later, we were having a conversation. She had a baby, she moved out of the country. And she said, are you gonna come and visit me? And I went, I can't. And she was like, why? And I said to her, and she jokingly said, don't tell me you don't have a passport. And I went, it's not that I don't have a passport. It's just the only place I can go with that passport is to Nigeria, and I won't be able to come back. She was like, you're joking. And I said, no. She said, you know what? Put your phone down, I'll call you back. She called her brother. Guess what her brother does? He's an immigration lawyer. He owns his own law firm. Her father, bless his soul, was a lawyer or judge as well at the time, retired though at the time. I had that as a best friend. But because I didn't speak, they weren't able to help me. But the day I opened my mouth and said that, like I said, my life changed. I called her brother. The rest, as they say, is history. Me and not red passport anymore. I got a blue one now. So, and also having people who actually care about me, who actually have my best interest at heart. And I wouldn't have had that. I probably would have gone through the whole process if I kept quiet, but it would have taken me longer and cost me twice as much. But I was part of their family, but they never knew that about me. So one way of building resilience is finding the right people to talk to. Tell people what is bothering you. Please speak, because you don't know whose ears those cries for help is going to fall on. You don't know. So please speak. However scary it may be, speak. Try and find someone that you feel you can trust and voice what is going on, the chaos that's going on in your world. To you, it may be the biggest problem in the world. To somebody else, that's nothing. Nothing. If I had known this friend of mine, she was the same woman that paid for my deposit instead of me going to sleep in the park. Had I known or had the confidence to speak up and tell her the full thing. I never told her what really was going on, but she didn't need to ask. She just suspected something really bad was up. She was my manager, my first ever manager. And she ended up being my best friend and godmother to my children. Sadly, she's no longer with us, but my cries for help fell on the right ears. And, to build resilience, try and surround yourself with people who can help you, people you can trust enough to share your story with, because they can make a whole lot of difference to your world. So I don't know if I've gone a little too far. It's just I've got a whole list of stuff that I can share with you guys, and I'm going to put all of this in some sort of template. So anyone that needs something for them to go back to, I do have a lot more, items and topics that, on how to build resilience. I have that. So I'm going to be working on that. So in the next couple of weeks or so, I should have something that if anyone wants a copy, nothing fantastic, nothing fancy, just, a little breakdown of what I've just spoken about and examples of what, those actions are that you can put into practice to help you overcome, adversity. But yeah, so I don't know. I think I might have overdone my 12 minutes. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Stella. It was so inspirational and powerful. We're really, and the advice is definitely, I've been taking notes. It's my handwriting. Anyway, yeah, I think we're slowly running out of time. So we're open to some questions for Stella. If you can type your questions in the chat or raise your hand emoji, then one of our team will answer.
I wanted to ask a question actually, Stella, and listening to your story, incredible, interesting. I can relate to the whole issue about immigration because I had some issues. I was a little younger as well. But listening to you, and then you gave the analogy of someone, when you're learning to drive and you have all the different things that you've got to remember, and I remember for many years I tried to learn to drive manual and I just couldn't do it. My brains couldn't take all the information in at one time. And I just, after failing so many tests, I said, no, that's it. I'm going to just learn to drive automatic and I passed my test. And that's what I drive right now. And the reason why I'm asking the question is, how is it important to define your own path?
Oh. Is that the question?
Yeah,
okay.
Because I listened to your story, and others may not have been able to come through those experiences and still be standing today. I wanted to know what was it?
It was, I think, for me, it was the determination that I was going to prove them wrong. Whatever they thought about me, I was so determined that was not going to be my story. I knew within my soul, that moment, it's hard to explain to people, but you just know within your soul, that narrative you have, it's not mine. It's not mine. And the only way other people will ever know my story is if I told a story. No one can tell your story like you can. Nobody can tell your story like you. You know what you went through. You know what you felt. You know what you thought. No one else can tell your story like you can. And that's why I advocate for people to tell their stories. Tell it. From telling your story alone, you take away the power from the people that try to put you down. When you tell your story, what do they have to say? Nothing. You own that power. You own the narrative. As long as you keep quiet, you're covering for them. I know there's a lot of shame involved. We feel ashamed, we feel disappointed, we're failures, we're, all of those things they said we were. But that's not you. If you know within you that that's not you, speak. I was just telling my story was so paramount because the story they were telling about me was not mine. It wasn't mine. And I needed people to hear. Not just hear, I needed them to see. Because whatever was being told, when you saw what I was doing, I was countering whatever the narrative is.